Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the Roderick Geo channel. Today we are going over another viewer request, and this time it is on one of Think School's latest videos. Did Modi really kill black money in India? Economic case study. Tax is killing India? Question mark. Anyways, I just want to say thank you, Aaron, for recommending this. India's high taxation. Nice video to react to, is what he says. And if you want to recommend me a video, go on to my Discord or link it down in the comments down below. So yeah, what exactly is this? What exactly is black money? I didn't know what black money is, so I did a quick little search here. Indian black money. In India, black money is funds earned on the black market on which income and other taxes have not been paid. Also, the unaccounted money that is concealed from the tax administrator is called black money. The black money is accumulated by the criminals, smugglers, and tax evaders. Around 22,000 crore are supposed citation needed to have been accumulated by the criminals for vested interest through writ petitions in the Supreme Court. Estimate this to be even larger at 900 lakh crores. The total amount of black money deposited in foreign banks by Indians is unknown. Some reports claim that a total of US 10.6 to 11.4 trillion is, that is a lot of money. Is held illegally in Switzerland. Other reports include those reported by the Swiss Bankers Association, and the government of Switzerland claim these reports are false and fabricated. And the total amount of held in all Swiss banks accounts by citizens of India is about 2 billion USD. In February 2012, the director of India's Central Bureau of Investigation said that Indians have USD 500 billion of illegal funds in foreign tax havens, more than any other country. In March 2012, the government of India clarified in its parliament that the CBI director statement on 500 billion of illegal money was an estimate based on a statement made to India's Supreme Court in July 2011. In March 2018, it was revealed that the amount of Indian black money currently present in Swiss and other offshore banks is estimated to be 300 lakh crores or US $4 trillion. So yeah, money being held overseas outside of India's economy. Say these taxation safe havens, they're prevalent all over the world, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't know exactly if this is the black money in talks of the video. I have not watched the video yet. We will watch the video together here momentarily. But basically, from my understanding, Indian black money is the money that's being held in tax havens outside of the country, and you don't want your money out of the country, right? If it's out of the country in a tax haven somewhere, your country's not getting your government, the government of your country is not getting taxes on that currency. So it's like bleeding. You're bleeding your government's blood dry, and the blood of a government is the money that runs through, flows from the taxes and other such methods of the government making money, however they deem fit, I guess. So yeah, I guess we will find out what exactly Think School has to say on this. Again, if you want to watch Think School, you want to watch this particular video, go check out Ganesh. We will be linking this video in the description down below, so make sure to go and check that out. And without further ado, I say let's go ahead and get into it.
Hi everybody. When Modi ji became the Prime Minister of India, one of the most important agendas and promises that he had was to eradicate the black money in India.
Okay, so this is I will bring back black money and distribute it to honest taxpayers. Modi. Narendra Modi on Wednesday. Oh, this is from 2014, by the way. Narendra Modi on Wednesday said he was committed to bringing back black money stashed abroad and assured people that if BJP is voted to power, he would set up a task force, amend laws, and distribute the money brought in as a gift among honest taxpayers. Distribute the money? What? The whole country is worried about black money is an anti-national activity. For bringing back this black money, you require a political will. I give an assurance to my countrymen that when we will form a government in Delhi, we will create a task force and if necessary, will amend the laws. The BJP's prime ministerial candidate said as he launched the party's much typed Chai Pe Char Cha with Namo. I'm really bad with with wordings. We will bring back each and every penny deposited abroad by Indian citizens. I'm committed to this because this money belongs to the poor people of India, and no one has the right to do this kind of anti-national activity, he said, answering a query in this regard. Modi was interacting with people here as part of that, where he answered questions from the public from across the country on a theme of good governance. Okay, so what do you wait. Distribute it amongst the people? Maybe it's a different black money than what I read in the little blurb at the start.
But the question is, 10 years, 1 demonetization, 2 Modi terms, and several GST reforms later, have we really succeeded in eradicating black money?
जिस दिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी को मौका मिलेगा, एक एक पाई हिंदुस्तान की वापस लाई जाएगी। 8 नवंबर 2016 की रात्रि को 12 बजे से वर्तमान में जारी 500 रुपए और 1000 रुपए के करेंसी नोट
They stopped the production of 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. Interesting.
लीगल टेंडर नहीं रहते। ब्लैक मनी के खिलाफ ऐसा कानून बना है कि अब हिंदुस्तान से कोई विदेश में रुपये भेजने की हिम्मत नहीं कर सकता है। 3 साल के भीतर भीतर करीब 1.25 लाख करोड़ रुपयों से भी ज्यादा काला धन को हमने खोल दिया है।
According to Ahmedabad Customs, the amount of gold smuggled seized at the airport has seen a 65% rise in FY24, where
there was a story shared on the Discord about this gold smuggling incident. I didn't know how prevalent gold smuggling was.
241.1 kg of gold, as in 180 crore rupees worth of gold was seized. And this 5-year trend shows that the amount of gold smuggled from the Sardar Patel airport is increasing at an alarming rate. And this is an indicative of the figures all across the country. Secondly, RBI says that there was a 102% increase in the number of fake 500 rupee notes in the Indian economy.
After falling in 2020-2021, counterfeit notes recorded at 10.7% uptick in 2020-2022, with the rupees 500 denomination fake notes rising by 102%. Fake notes of rupees 2,000 increased 2,000. There's a 2,000 rupee note? I know they were talking about a 1,000 rupee note. Is there a 2,000 rupee note as well? Increased by 55% previous fiscal year, according to the Reserve Bank of India's annual report during 2022-2021. Out of the total fake Indian currency notes detected in the banking sector, 6.9% were detected at the RBI and 93.1% at other banks. Man, fake notes.
So, counterfeit currency is still a growing problem even after demonetization. And I was shocked to know that there is even a black stock market system in India. And this system is so big that while the average daily trading amount in NSE is about 1.02 lakh crore rupees, in this black stock market, the average daily trading amount is estimated to be 0.7 lakh crore rupees, which means 70,000 crore rupees worth of black transactions are happening every single day, just like the National Stock Exchange. So the question is,
that's crazy.
Have we really succeeded in eradicating the black economy? Well, you know what? You would be shocked to know that the root cause of everything from smuggling to black market to even the underworld and crime, everything is linked to just one variable in the Indian economy, and that is tax.
Tax. Government has reduced and rationalized tax rates.
Indian corporate tax becomes very attractive and should be able to attract higher investments.
Isn't something like the income tax rate of India is only like 2%? It's like it's something astronomically low. Like 2 to 5% of the population are paying income tax, and that's crazy to think of as an American. I've talked about this many times before. I do think taxation is theft in a sense. income tax in particular. I think as an American, here in the U.S., Americans are being overtaxed. I think there are much better ways to go about doing it, but I mean, in comparison, I don't know, like a 2% to 5% income tax rate for the population is wild. So, I don't know. Taxation's theft. I think there needs to be better routes to go to doing it, like an increase in sales tax. But we can talk about that another day.
ट्रांसपेरेंट टैक्सेशन, ऑनरिंग द ऑनेस्ट, 21वीं सदी के टैक्स सिस्टम की इस नई व्यवस्था का आज लोकार्पण किया गया है।
So, with the budget announcement coming, we laid down a very interesting piece of research which tells us how are taxes directly used as an instrument of wealth by the underworld and smugglers of India. How does the black market and black stock market get created because of the tax system? If we have zero tax in
I
India,
just want to say this is a crazy AI image here. I just find these AI images really funny. Like it's obvious as like stock market, crime gang related stock market. You've got like the stock tickers over here. That's funny.
black stock market get created because of the tax system. If we have zero tax in India, what could happen to our economy? And most importantly, since black money is a virus to our economy, what is the most practical way to eradicate black money in India?
Oh, come on, you gotta let me read the disclaimer. Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not reflect the views or positions of any entity. The case study notes are prepared purely for educational information purposes. The cases are not contented. Contented? That's a word, contented. Okay. To serve as an endorsement, source of primary data, or to show effective or ineffective handling of decisions or business processes. Viewers are advised to exercise their own discretion and judgment when interpreting or using the information presented. The content of this video is not intended to substitute professional advice or guidance. The content presented in this video is intended for informational purposes only. The creators, producers, distributors of this content want to make it clear that no copyright intellectual property infringement is intended. All materials used in this video have been sourced from publicly available information, open access platforms, or are used under the fair use doctrine for commentary, criticism, reporting, and educational purposes. We have made efforts to give proper credit to the original creator or copyright holders whenever possible. All right, disclaimer done.
Chalo, let's start from the basics. The first thing we need to understand is how high taxes result in black economy, smuggling, and even promote the growth of the underworld. Let's understand this using an example. Did you know back in the 1970s, which is during the Indira Gandhi era, this is what our tax structure looked like. It started from
What is this? 10%, the amount of which total income exceeds 5,000 rupees, 500 plus 17% of amounts by which total income exceeds 10,000 rupees, 1,350 rupees plus 23% of the amount by what?
from a moderate 10% tax rate and went all the way up to 93.5%.
Oh, who's getting taxed? 93.5%? Oh my God. That's what the French want to do. Ain't no way, man.
Yes, tax rate in India back then stood at 93.5% beyond a certain slab. So if you made anything about 2 lakh rupees, you had to pay 93.5% tax.
Who would even stay in the country? If you're making if 90% of the money you're making is being taken away from you, why would you even stay in that country? At that point, you're just better off leaving, right? Okay, all right, okay. I kind of hold on. I want to read this. In her 28th February 1970 Union Budget speech, the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, who also held the Finance Minister's office, increased the marginal tax rate by 11 percentage points to 93.5% on all incomes above 200,000 rupees. This meant that for every 100 rupees earned above 200,000 rupees, a citizen could just make just 6.5 rupees. When a surcharge of 15% was taken into the account, the highest marginal rate rose to 97.5%. Taxation is also a major instrument in all modern societies to achieve greater equality of incomes and wealth. It is therefore proposed to make our direct tax system serve this purpose by increasing income taxation at the higher levels, as well as substantially enhancing the present. Oh my God.
Sounds terrible, right?
Yeah.
Well, for some reason, even then, the Indira Gandhi government thought that by taxing the rich so much, they could simply make more money from the rich and use that money from the rich for the welfare schemes of the poor.
No, if you're taxing the rich 90% of their income, they're going to leave the country or hide the money abroad and don't give it to you. That's what's going to happen.
And eventually, they thought they could empower the poor with this tax money collected from the rich. This was the ideal result expected. But
Sounds like communism to me.
do you know what happened because of this tax structure? This tax structure indirectly contributed to the massive rise of black money, which eventually became an instrument of wealth for the underworld and people like Daud Ibrahim and Haji Mastan.
Daud runs a massive empire in the state of Maharashtra.
Again, yeah, of course, it will lead to shady things and crime. I'm still flabbergasted.
The question is, what is the connection between the tax structure and the underworld, and how can tax structure empower people like Daud Ibrahim? Well, let's understand this using a simple hypothetical example between Daud Ibrahim and Jamna Das. Back in the 1970s, let's say Jamna Das was a rich businessman who wanted to sell his apartment in South Bombay at a market value of 5 lakh rupees.
Again, I'm assuming this looks like an AI image, right? Doesn't it? It kind of does. Like everything's really weird and deformed. It's weird, but okay, you do you.
But since the tax rate above 2 lakh rupees was taxed at 93.5%, Jamna Das wanted to find a way to avoid this tax burden. Similarly, Daud Ibrahim had made 50 lakh rupees through his illegal business and he wanted to park his money somewhere. This is when both Jamna Das and Daud Ibrahim met, and here's how they evaded taxes using a simple method. Both of them came to an agreement such that Jamna Das would underreport the sale value of the apartment to 1 lakh rupees and Daud would only pay 1 lakh rupees officially and pay an additional 4 lakh rupees in cash directly to Seth Jamna Das. This way, Jamna Das avoids paying a hefty income tax on the actual sale value of 5 lakh rupees and only pays taxes on 1 lakh rupees. So very easily, he avoided the 93.5% tax bracket. Secondly, Daud has successfully converted his illegal income into a legitimate asset, which will further appreciate to a staggering value and give him both wealth and power. Cherry on the cake, Daud only had to pay stamp duty on 1 lakh rupees instead of 5 lakh rupees. But lastly, while Jamna Das and Daud both benefited from this transaction, who was the actual loser over here? The loser over here was the government of India, because the government could not collect taxes from Jamna Das even though he was rich.
It's their own fault. I'm 93 point whatever percent tax. Bro, I'm poor, and I'm sympathizing with these rich people. Like that's crazy.
Number 2, the government could not collect stamp duty even though the property was sold at 5 lakh rupees. Most importantly,
I don't know what stamp duty is.
The government of India had given the superpower of wealth multiplication to the underworld, by which they could not just easily legitimize their money, but also grow their real estate empire all across India, eventually making them more and more powerful. And this is exactly what is happening right now, but right now it is happening in the Indian stock market. And here's where something called dabba trading comes in, whereby 70,000 crores worth of transactions are happening every single day, making it one of the biggest black markets in the world.
जिस तरह से हमारे मार्केट्स में जो है ट्रेडिंग होती है उसी तरह से जो है यहाँ पर एक फेक डमी मार्केट चलाया जाता है.
Dabba or box trading refers to an illegal practice of trading that takes place outside the purview of stock exchanges. It's like gambling.
मुंबई के कांदिवली से डमी शेयर मार्केट चल रहा था.
So growing black money is one of the repercussions of this.
So the question over here is, how does the system work and how are we not able to do anything about it? Let's say Apurva is a successful trader who trades in futures and options with a capital of 10 lakh rupees and rotates his capital multiple times in such a way that his daily turnover reaches 1 crore rupees per day. So how does this happen? He would invest 10 lakh rupees, make a profit of 2 lakh rupees and then again deploy 12 lakh rupees into the market. So this way, through multiple rotations, he ends up achieving a turnover of 1 crore rupees. And every time he places a trade, he has to pay a host of taxes, brokerage and fees to different entities in the system. So if you look at this table, there is brokerage fees of 20 rupees per executed order, a security transaction fees, transaction charges to the NSE, then there is GST, SEBI charges and then stamp charges. And this amount has to be paid regardless of whether he makes a profit or loss. Alright? And this amount for a turnover of 1 crore rupees per day could range anywhere between 2,000 rupees to 2,500 rupees per day. And out of this 2,000 to 2,500 rupees amount, 1,000 to 1,250 rupees turns out to be just security transaction tax. And here's where the catch comes in. So listen to this very, very carefully. Let's say Apurva generates a handsome return on his capital of 50% at the end of the year. So at the end of the year,
50% is pretty good.
He has generated 15 lakh rupees, giving him a profit of 5 lakh rupees, right? Well, guess what? Out of these 15 lakh rupees, he has to pay 2,000 rupees per day in all these charges, including brokerage, SEBI charges, NSE charges, GST and security transaction tax. So assuming that he trades for 200 days a year, this amount that he has to pay comes out to be 2,000 into 200, which is 4 lakh rupees. So out of 15 lakh rupees, he has to pay 4 lakh rupees in just these taxes, fees and brokerage, which means he will be left with only 1 lakh rupees in profit. And this,
yeah, if you okay, I don't want to sympathize with people that are funneling money into, shady enterprises, so to speak, but I mean, when most of your money is being taken away to fees and taxation, yeah.
The sad fact over here is that here Apurva is an exception who has made a profit of 50%, because of which he is still able to take home 1 lakh rupees in profit. Whereas if you look at what happens to most people, SEBI itself says that more than 90% of the traders in derivatives incur losses. So in spite of losses, he still has to pay these fees, which makes life very, very difficult for traders. And if you look at it from the broker standpoint, I actually found a very funny stat. Here's the revenue of the top 5 brokers in India, and it comes to 15,592.95 crores in FY23. But you know what? With just the security transaction tax alone, the government alone has made 25,085 crore rupees. So if you see, the government is generating more revenue than the 5 biggest brokers combined.
Wow.
So long story short, it's not easy to be a trader with so many taxes. This is a reason why Apurva finds a hack to avoid taxes. And this is where dabba trading comes in. So listen to this very, very carefully. Instead of getting salary directly in his bank account, Apurva will ask the contractor to pay in cash to avoid income tax, and he will hide his actual income. But he cannot use this cash to buy stocks, right? Because if
okay. So like in the US, even if the employer is paying with cash, they have to report this on the revenue, right? Unless they're like cooking the books of their actual company, then this is also being reported. And if they're reporting that cash is leaving, then the tax bureau would know that he's getting this money as a payment potentially, right? So this would have to even scale back to the company itself. And I'm talking like in regards to US, because this is my perspective. I'm coming at it from like a US perspective. I'm talking about like the company itself would also have to be, doing some shady stuff, under the table things with giving cash as an income. But yeah, anyways, we'll get back to the video. I'm sorry.
Tax, and he will hide his actual income, but he cannot use this cash to buy stocks, right? Because if he buys stocks using this cash, then the income tax department will get to know about his income, and then they will send him a notice with fines. And this is where dabba trading comes in. Instead of using a broker like Zerodha or Upstocks to trade, Apurva will contact a dabba trading agent. And how does this dabba trading happen? In dabba trading, the agent executes the trade outside the official market in such a way no actual order is placed on the exchange at all.
Interesting.
So the question over here is, if a stock is not being bought or sold, then from where will the profits actually come from? Well, here's where the buyer bets on the stock price movement. For example, if Apurva bets on a Reliance stock which is priced at 1000 rupees, then at the end of the day, if the stock price of Reliance rises to 1500 rupees, Apurva will make a profit of 500 rupees. But if the stock price falls to 900 rupees, he will have to pay the difference to the dabba broker. So if you see, there is no actual transaction happening, no brokerage fees, no SEBI fees, no STT, and most importantly, no taxes. All he
Oh, okay. So there's no it's a stock exchange with no actual stocks? Like what exactly? I don't it's just a betting platform. Right at that point, it's literally just I bet that this will get up to this price. It's like, okay, well if it doesn't, you pay me more money. Okay, weird.
has to pay is the minor brokerage fees to the dabba broker. So if you see, it is just plain betting. This is the reason why, to save taxes and the transaction fees, investors like Apurva get into the black market. And this market is said to have transactions worth 70,000 crores. So what did we learn from this story? High taxes or high charges, although they make sense on paper, it only takes a few price hikes here and there to make the market go from white to black. In this case, if the government increases the security transaction taxes on trading, it will make trading more expensive and it will push the investor either into the black market or into other countries where trading is easier. So this way, the government ends up incurring a loss and the entire system along with all the entities end up incurring a loss. In fact, you would be shocked to know that today, the highest marginal rate of taxes is about 40%. And this is the bracket for high net worth individuals who trade in big volumes.
Okay, so what was this little I did the right
transaction system. So our trading costs and taxes could directly promote dabba trading in the Indian system. So are we saying that we should not have taxes like the trade in big
the same derivative traded by foreign portfolio investors and foreign institutional investors incurs zero income tax through tax treaties. Okay.
volumes. So the increase in trading costs and taxes could directly promote dabba trading in the Indian system. So are we saying that we should not have taxes like the income tax and security transaction tax at all? Because even after reducing taxes from 93% to today's highest rate of 40%, even then, people are going to try and evade taxes, right? So has anyone actually proved that reducing taxes can benefit the system? Well, strangely, the answer is yes. And it is coming from one of the most iconic economic policies introduced by one of the greatest presidents of the United States, who went by the name Ronald Reagan.
We cut your tax rates anyway by nearly 25%. And what that helped trigger was falling inflation, falling interest rates, and the strongest economic expansion in 30 years.
This is a story that dates back to 1981 America. During this time, the economy of America was not doing well at all. If you look at this chart, inflation
was that food stamps?
During this time, the economy of America was
not
doing
food stamps?
well.
That is food stamps. Look at that, food stamps. Yeah, back in the day, they used to be actual paper things like that. Food vouchers, food coupons, food stamps. Nowadays they give you like a card and whatnot. Or at least they used to. I had to be on food stamps. Again, like I said, I'm poor now. I was poor in the past. But I don't how long ago was it? 10 years ago? Yeah. Around a decade ago. I had to be on food stamps for a little while, and they just gave you like a card, like a debit card. It was interesting, but yeah, anyways.
doing well at all. If you look at this chart, inflation had almost hit a peak of 11.8%. Unemployment had shot up from 6.1% in 1970 to 8.5% in 1981.
Look at this. Look at this jump right here. That's COVID right there. Crazy.
GDP growth stood at just 3.2% from 1970 to 1980. Whereas from 1960 to 1970, the US economy was growing at
Look at this. This is the Great Recession right here. Then the GDP growth because of World War II, boom, they had like a huge economical boom in the US. The US makes money off of wars, man.
4.5%. And the condition of the US economy was so bad because in 1973 and 1979, because of the Arab-Israeli war, the Arabs got angry at the US and they suddenly hiked the price of oil from $4.08.
Ooh, look at that. Whoa, tripled the price. Dang.
In 1973 to $12.52 in 1974. That is 3 times increase in
and not even that. I mean, if you look back here, if you just look back a little bit as well, in 1970 it was $3. Even this is a pretty big jump here. $3 to $3.22. That's a pretty big, marginal jump between those 2 years.
73 to $12.52.
Or excuse me, $4. Yeah, so it went from $3 to $4. So it was a full dollar increase, and then it was 3 times.
1974. That is 3 times increase in the oil price. And then furthermore, it shot up to $21.57 in 1979 and reached $37.1 in 1981.
Crazy.
So if you see,
absolutely
the price of oil increased by 9 times in just 8.
Look at, oh my God, that is wild. That is wild.
8 years.
The oil-producing countries of the Arab world decided to use their oil as a political weapon.
World wars among big powers are quite possible to control dwindling oil supply,
resulting in their decision to reduce the flow of oil to America and other nations supporting Israel.
Dealers raised prices to more than 40 cents a gallon.
Today's OPEC increases are expected to drive the price of unleaded up to a national average of 77 cents per gallon.
Man, even 77 cents a gallon, whoo, that'd be pretty nice these days.
Gas lines at many stations were a lot longer than normal.
In simple words, in the Indian context, it's like saying the petrol price in India in 2016 was 50 rupees a litre, but today the price of petrol has touched 450 rupees a litre. So do you realize if something like this happens, what will happen? The cost of goods will go up, businesses would incur losses, jobs will be lost, and the economy will suffer, right? Yep. This is exactly what happened in the United States. Secondly, people did not have enough money to spend because if you look at this chart, the tax bracket in the US started from 14% and went all the way up to 70%. This is the reason why, to solve this one problem, one fine day, Ronald Reagan made an iconic announcement where he declared that the income tax at the highest slab would be cut down from 70% to just 28%. And along with it, he also reduced corporate tax from 48% to just 34%. So now the question over here is, this is a big jerk for the economy, right? Then how did the government generate revenue if not through taxes? And how did Ronald Reagan think that decreasing taxes will actually improve the economy?
Well, the idea behind that is if the company is giving less money in taxes, then they can afford to cut the cost of the goods back down. So, I mean, in theory, it works out really well, right?
Well, this is where a theory called the trickle-down effect comes in. So, as usual, let's understand this using an example and listen to this very carefully, okay? Because you're going to see a lot of numbers coming on screen. Let's say there was a company called American Baker, which had a profit of $10 million, produced 10 tons of bread, and had 2,000 employees with an average income of $50,000. So with the 48% corporate tax rate, earlier, it paid $4.8 million in taxes, which left how much money? $5.2 million for investment and growth with the company. Similarly, the employees with an average salary of $50,000, they paid 30% tax, which on an average comes out to be $15,000 in taxes per employee. But after the corporate tax was reduced from 48% to 34%, so this year the company just paid $3.4 million in taxes, which left $6.6 million with the company for investment and growth. So now on the outside it looks like the government is losing out on 4.8 million minus 3.4 million, which is the government losing out on $1.4 million in tax revenue, right? But the catch over here is that even after tax cuts, the company has $6.6 million which it can invest in new machinery, research and development, and to expand its operation to produce 15 tons of bread, right? Similarly, the employees are now paying only $7,500 in taxes instead of $15,000 in taxes. So now these employees now have $7,500 extra with them. And lastly, since the company has extended its capacity to 15 tons, it had to hire 1,000 new employees at an average salary of $50,000 per year. So now the American baker has 3,000 employees with an average income of $50,000. If this is clear to you, let's move on to the next part. Now, assume.
Yeah. So again, this is a pretty good example of the trickle-down theory. Ideally, this is how it should work. Then, of course, that goes to the corporations, the big corpos, and the money men behind them. You know, if they actually want to invest in bettering their equipment, their structure, and actually paying the employees rather than, you know, cutting employees down and finding other ways to enrich and fill up their own pockets, right? With the extra amount of money that they don't have to pay in taxes. But yeah, in theory, this is, you know, ideally how it would work.
Assuming that these employees spend 80% of their income, if you look at how much these employees will spend in the American economy, it is a staggering amount.
The economy,
so let's do the math. There are 1,000 new employees spending $40,000 each in the American economy. So this extra spend comes out to be $40,000 into 1,000, which is $40 million. On top of that, the company also has 2,000 old employees who now have $7,500 extra to spend. So again, if these 2,000 old employees spend 80% of their $7,500, the total spending in the American economy turns out to be 0.8 into 7,500 into 2,000, which is $12 million. If this is very, very clear to you, let's summarize how this scenario has resulted into an economic output for America. The tax paid pre-tax cut was $4.8 million, which is now $3.4 million after tax cut. The total money left for investment back then was $5.2 million pre-tax cut and $6.6 million post-tax cut. Earlier, 0 new jobs were created, but post-tax, there were 1,000 new jobs created. And because of this, the new employee spending got added in the American economy, which is 1,000 into 40,000 equal to $40 million. Then we also saw an increased spending from the old employees, which came out to be $12 million. So the additional economic impact of this employee spending turns out to be $40 million plus $12 million equal to $52 million. And now what happened?
And this is an additional spending.
To these $52 million, these $52 million have been spent into movies, diapers, milk, and several other products and services all across America. And now, even if we assume that the average tax paid on these products was just 15%, the government would still make 15% of $52 million, which is $7.8 million. So do you realize in this scenario, initially it looked like the government lost $1.4 million in taxes, but eventually they not only gained $7.8 million in tax revenue through consumption, but also created 1,000 new jobs and $52 million of economic activity.
Yeah.
This is how Ronald Reagan envisioned tax cuts to directly result into new jobs, more spending, and higher economic impact, eventually growing the American economy. So the question is, did the US economy actually grow? Well, the stats say that the US economy experienced a period of sustained growth in the 1980s, wherein the real GDP, after initially falling at minus 1.8% in 1982, grew by an average of 4.41% per year from 1983 to 1989 as compared to 3.03% in the late 1970s. Similarly,
good.
the unemployment rate fell from 7.2% in 1980 to 5.3% in 1988. And even the inflation fell from a peak of 13.9% in 1980 to a low of just 1.5% in 1987. This is
Man, inflation right now in the U.S. is horrid. There are things today that I went out and bought today that are like 4 or 5 times the price they were last year and the year before. It's absolutely crazy.
This is what happened to the US economy after the reduction in taxes. Now, obviously, there are a lot more parameters at play, and taxes turn out to be just one of these parameters, which is why we cannot certainly say that all of these things happened only because of the taxes. But on the outside, if you think about it, this concept looks fantastic, right? Then the question over here is, if this worked out so well, why didn't the US government go on decreasing taxes? Well, that is because, ladies and gentlemen, along with these 3 advantages, the Reaganomics might also have brought in 3 disadvantages to the American economy. Now, what are these disadvantages? Number 1, income inequality increased in the US, which means the gap between the rich and the poor widened in the 1980s.
Okay.
Secondly, it is said that because of Reaganomics, the national debt in the US increased from $712 billion in 1980 to $2.41 trillion in 1990. And when we looked into the stats, we realized that this is not just because of the tax cuts, but also because of increased military spending. And lastly,
I was gonna say that's got to do with like the all the wars that were getting started in the Middle East that the U.S. was taking part in, the Gulf Wars.
The Reaganomics is also said to have resulted into an increased trade deficit as America imported more than it exported. If you see this graph, the merchandise trade deficit in 1980 America was $25.5 billion. But by 1987, it shot up to $159.5 billion. So even though on paper it looks like a great economic philosophy, there is one big problem because of which everything could become a disaster. So now the question is, we just learned that because of Reaganomics, when corporate taxes go down, those companies will then recruit more people, they will expand their operation, and those people who just got their jobs will then go on to spend more money in the economy, eventually resulting into a positive economic output, right? Then why do people still say that Reaganomics was a disaster? And how did it cause harm to the American economy? Well, let's quickly understand this using the continuation of our old example, because only then you'll be able to understand that how less of a control the governments have over the functioning of these companies, and in spite of having all kinds of tax policy, how is it that things could go wrong? Okay, you see, in the American Baker's case, we saw that this $52 million in economic impact was caused because the company did all the good things. They reinvested their money to increase capacity, they recruited more people, and they also paid these new people well. But you know what? There is also a possibility that when taxes were reduced from $4.8 million to $3.4 million, the founder of American Baker just took this entire $1.4 million.
Exactly what I said earlier. A lot of companies do this.
Home as salary, right? So if this happened, he would not invest any money into expanding their operation, isn't it? Or even if he did not take out any salary, he could have just kept the money in the company itself without investing a penny into machines, right? And now if you see the scenario, in both these cases, there is no added economic activity and the government ends up suffering an income loss with no economic activity even after tax reduction.
So yes, ideally, in theory, if all the companies played good and played along, that the trickle down economics, the Reaganomics, would be beneficial, right? But it comes down to human nature and greed, and typically these big mega corps, these corpos, they tend to be a little bit on the greedier side.
This is the reason why.
Wasn't this video about Modi? When was the last time Modi was mentioned? Hold up. It was a while ago.
We cannot suddenly wake up one day and drop our income tax or corporate tax to zero and just expect these companies and individuals to reinvest money, create more jobs, and eventually cause a positive economic output. This is the reason why not just India, but for any country, zero income tax is practically impossible unless you have a lot of oil money. So Reaganomics essentially teaches us that there is a sweet spot between no taxes and very high taxes. And this sweet spot will result into both economic activity as well as high government income. And if you go below this sweet spot and reduce taxes, there won't be enough economic activity for the reduction of taxes. And if you increase the taxes by a large extent, then the black economy will prosper. If this is very, very clear to you, let's come to the most important part of the episode, and that are the most important lessons that we and the government of India both need to learn and apply in today's scenario. Lesson number 1. Increasing taxes will only lead to more black money circulating in the market. So, if we have to eradicate black money, all we need to do is decrease taxes as much as possible without hindering the income of the government such that the wealth can trickle down.
Hold on. I really do want to know what the tax rate is. Okay, so I don't know. I'm not familiar with this particular news outlet, but it was the first one that popped up. More Indians filing tax returns, but only 1 to 2% of population actually pays income tax, shows government data. So yeah, literally 2% of the population is paying income tax right now. So again, I guess this is only really relevant to businesses and corporations and the higher earners, but this is rough. This is rough. Income tax return filing increased, but most are not paying tax. Total number of people filing income tax. Total number of people filing returns with zero tax. Okay. So it's a little bit better, actually, if you look at it. 7.4% in crore. Oh, okay. So wait, no. The data shows 7.4 crore people filed income tax returns, which is 5.6% crore people, or 70%, had zero tax liabilities. This means that just 2.24 crore people paid income tax rate in 2022-2023, which works out just to 1.6% of the total population of India. Wow. 1.6% of the population of India. That's crazy. That's wild. We'll get back to this video.
Without hindering the income of the government such that the wealth can trickle down and the rich people do not have the incentive to hide their money. Lesson number 2. Decreasing taxes and no trickle-down effect will also be a disaster because it will make the rich richer and the poor poorer. So as the government decreases taxes, it has to actively...
The poor aren't even paying income tax, though. No one's paying income tax. 1.6% of people are paying income tax.
Work towards bringing in policies that will help the wealth trickle down to the bottom of the pyramid. For example, the finance minister told us in our podcast that in Maharashtra, the government slashed stamp duty from 5% to 2% just after COVID, such that the real estate market could boom. And the impact of this stamp duty reduction was so beautiful that people bought more flats, the builders got cash flow, and eventually these builders paid back their loans, paid their suppliers, and most importantly, they paid their workers. So a 3% discount on stamp duty ended up putting food on the plates of millions in Maharashtra. Lesson number 3. As taxes and import duty increases, smuggling will increase. In 2019, the government increased the customs duty on gold bars from 13% to 15.5% to 18.45% in 2022, and in 2023, the import duty on products made of precious metals was increased from 22% to 25%. So if you look at this chart, in 2022-23, gold smuggling in India touched a 4-year high. And
that's crazy, man.
Almost 4,000 kgs of smuggled gold was seized in the first months of the fiscal year. So in short, we need to be very careful when we increase import duties on high demand products like gold. So if we have to stop smuggling, all we need to do is slash our import duties to an extent where the government can make money, but without pinching the traders. And last and most importantly, as citizens of India, we need to understand that economics is super complicated. And no matter whether the government increases or decreases taxes, there is absolutely no guarantee that it will benefit the economy. Because even though the taxes are in control of the government, how 1.4 billion people will react to these taxes, that is something that no government, no economist, and no AI has been
1.4 billion people, but I mean, okay, all right,
able to predict in the history of mankind. So if you ever meet an economist who works for the government, pay your respects to them, because they are the ones who are trying to bring order to this madness called taxation and this humongous economy called the Indian economy. That's all from my side for today, guys. I just hope you understood everything and this was not too heavy for you.
Pretty
if
interesting,
you learned
pretty
something valuable,
straightforward.
please make sure to hit the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
All right, well, there we go. Again, if you want to check out the channel, it will be linked in the description down below. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, pretty straightforward, pretty easy to understand. You know, taxes is not. People make out taxes to be super difficult. Like tax time here in the U.S., people start to panic. They go to like these like specific like tax brokers to help them file their taxes, and it's like, come on, guys, it's easy. Doing your taxes is super easy. Understanding the math is super easy. It's just a matter of sitting down and then looking at it and, you know, going over it. If you don't understand it, go over it a couple times. Maybe pick up some resources and go over it. But I think people conflate a lot of things to be harder than they actually seem. Did Modi really kill black money in India? I don't know. I don't feel like I actually got an answer to that. It was mostly like Aaron said. A video about taxation. So, interesting. Very interesting. I mean, it was a good video. I liked the video. It's a good little insight. It's an insight on, you know, it broadened my horizons, right? Like there's a lot of things I didn't know in particular about India. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to learn more. I'm here to broaden my horizons, to expand my mind, so to speak. So yeah, again, go check out this Think School video. Subscribe to Ganesh, give him a like, do the whole shebang there. I think it's time to read some comments. I'm interested to see what some of the comments have to say about this. Tax should be like salt in food, not food in the salt. Government needs to wake up before it's too late. The biggest irony is brokerage and taxes are charged on both buyer and seller simultaneously for one transaction. Yeah, so the government's basically double dipping at that point. If they're like getting taxes from like the stock market there. Every week I buy more of whatever the lowest percentage of my portfolio, and I try to keep everything around 10%, but what could be my safest buys with 400K to outperform the market in 2024? Oh, he's asking for like financial advice. Ganesh is not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, yada, yada, yada. Tax is not the problem. Main problem is benefits we are not getting. Taxes should go back to the people. I agree. If the taxes aren't, if the government isn't using your taxes to ensure the welfare of its people, to sustain the infrastructure of the country, and to guarantee the safety of its sovereignty, then what the heck are you paying taxes for, right? I pay tax at 30% of my salary and then another 30% on the profit I make out of the already taxed investments. And then I feel so tired, I just want to go to a restaurant, eat something. I put petrol in, voila. I'm bombarded with fuel tax. Now I'm hardly moving. Finally, I managed to make it to the small restaurant, and there you are, fourth round of milking tax for me in the form of GST. I die of shock and desperation before even the little food I ate reaches my stomach. My everyday life continues without any significant changes around me, except for the noticeable fact that my wallet is getting emptier by the day and fully exhausted much before next salary. At least I am thankful to my wife for not charging me any of the direct taxes for delivering our children. That's funny. That's really funny. Ideally, I think what would be better, instead of income tax, get rid of all income tax and just increase the sales tax. You pay taxes on the sales of the goods and services that you pay for, right? But you don't pay any tax on the income. Again, I've never went to school for any of that. I feel like that would be better in a sense. But again, I don't. My brain is doo-doo. Chanakya in Astra said the honeybee collectors nectar from flowers without damaging it, but in return the pollinates it. Government should collect tax like honeybees. It's sad how difficult things have become in the present generation. I was wondering how to utilize some money I had. I used some of it for e-commerce business, but that sank. I'm thinking of how to use it, what's left to invest, but I don't really know which way to go. Black money can't be killed. Government runs on it. This is not just taxes. This is tax terrorism. Recently came across your channel. I love it. Please, I would like to know if we're restricted to only Indian stock or if we can also buy US or other foreign stocks. I am new to this and everything is still confusing. Research dividend or aristocrats and choose 6 to 10 companies with over 25 years of okay. This is not like, I don't think this pertains to the video at all. Fun fact, income tax was supposed to be temporary. Taxation is theft. Taxation is theft. But is income tax So income tax is supposed to be temporary in the US. It was a measure early on to get the company through to get the government through the recession. But is that the same thing in India? Even reservations was supposed to be for 10 years, but how will it be? How will it happen? Limited reservations is that much a big problem. Now log Abby B Jati. Okay, hold on. Much big problem. Now people still vote on the caste, and casteism also follows in daily life. Income tax is theft. Income is your right. You pay tax to everything you buy using your income. Yeah. I agree with Dang Bro. Income tax can be theft if you're overtaxed. And you should, again, ideally, the perfect world would be zero tax on your income, but you pay tax on goods and services. An increased tax. The government is definitely killing middle class dreams with taxes. Who all are we witness like me that what? Who all are witness like me that at 2015 1 rupee candies peanut candy now cost 5 rupees. This example can apply for tons of products and things, but not for my father monthly salary. Okay. I'm going to read some of the newer comments. In Hindi. In no way. Why does this translate to in no way? Weird. Government is not bringing order. They are creating mess. Only people who can speak against criticism is running government without any qualifications. If government enforce strict rules on Indian real estate, majority of black market will go away. Black money will go away. Government is wrong on taxes. Higher taxes do not ensure higher revenue. It actually ensures tax evaders. GST is anything but GST in true senses. It is BJP tax. Problem is the politicians, including our prime minister, don't have the education base to understand and solve people's problems. It depends on bureaucrats for formulation of policies. The problem starts from there. Bureaucrats are prone to make simple things complex. That is what they made to our taxation system that have birth to black money. Yeah. Reaganomics no more works in today's scenario. Economic conditions and technological superiority were different in the job market. Today, you don't need too many employees to do the same job with the advent of AI and automation machines. True that. AI is going to be taking so many jobs. Less employees can do the same work. And that's what I said even during the first mention of the Reaganomics is like what companies do is they get the tax break. And then they cut how many employees they have, so they have even more money. Ex-UK Prime Minister Liz Truss understands that the hard way. All corporates, wasn't Liz Truss in office for like less than a week? All corporates used it to their advantage and still did nothing to expand and increase employment in an economy, causing the Prime Minister to volunteer for her own resignation. Okay. What is this about ex-Muslim? Okay. Modi government, waste of government, Ganesh, and it said Donald Reagan. Did he say Donald Reagan, really?
How did Donald Reagan think?
It did sound like he said Donald Reagan. That's funny. Thanks for providing a perspective. 100 rupee super chat. Cherry pick data to make a random point. Sorry, but this episode was very confusing, including just stock market as an example, just my opinion. I don't think this was pretty confusing. Why not do a video on how direct benefits transfer with a recharge rural consumption and lead to increased demand? Okay. What about for salary class? I don't understand why people aren't talking about this new Instagram page that was just launched. Oh, this is like, I think this is, I just read a scam. Okay. Hi, you can also calculate Baker's additional 5-ton product will also contribute to the future fiscal year taxation. I urge to make a video on how black stock trade runs. He explained how it runs in this video. What are you talking about? It's a betting. It's a gamble. It's gambling. You're betting. It's not actual stock trading. Um, Here's another person like equating honeybees. Right here, look. Honeybee collects from the nectar without damaging the flower, but you know government destroys the whole garden. You guys know what I mean. That must be a popular saying. I've not really heard of that. Someone put in a timestamp. Whoa. Interesting. Taxation is theft. There's a shortage of cash. Great lie. Government has power. We have nothing to do except facing the problem. They can do whatever they want. That is clear. Brother, I have played less Hindi audio track. What I am saying is not making much sense. I congratulate you on your ability to simplify complicated topics. All right, with that being said, guys, thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next one, yeah? Take care. Goodbye.